Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And we're here to talk about some video games. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. Every time.
Yeah, we start the same way every podcast, every episode. This is episode 42. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy. I was checking our YouTube channel recently. We have a few that have about almost 100 views.
People who accidentally clicked on it thinking that it was something else.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's to our listeners, stay with us, please. We actually have a podcast. So we're here to talk about some pretty big November games, and I think they came out 1 or 2 days apart. Do you know what those two games are?
Yep.
These November behemoths.
God of War and Pokemon.
No, well, I was gonna say God of War and Sonic Frontiers. I mean, you know what? I'm from the 90s when Sonic was a big deal, and there's a world, there's a dimension, a timeline that didn't happen where an open world Sonic game would have been huge, the huge November game, and it probably wouldn't have been exclusive on a Sega system as well. But
I just find it hilarious that we're called the Nintendo Bros podcast, and the games we talked about are Sega and Sony, and we're skipping like the huge Pokemon game.
Well, we can touch on it, but I mean, I didn't buy Pokemon, and you didn't buy Pokemon.
No, me neither. I thought it was just funny.
Well, I mean, okay, let's get into that. So, I mean, we're going to talk about Sonic, and we're going to talk about God of War later, but let's get over some news first. And I guess the first thing is Pokemon Violet and Scarlet is now out. Reviews are out. It has, what does it have on Metacritic? 70, 74, 75?
Yeah, something like that.
And you're not going to buy it, I understand.
It's now off my maybe list.
Yeah, I was never going to get it because I just am not really a big fan. The last Pokemon game I had was X and Y for 3DS, and
it has a 76 and a 2.9 user score.
Okay, 2.9. So the word is that this game is fun and it's got some good ideas and stuff, but it's got really bad performance. Like, it just has really bad frame rate and pop in, and you know, I have a pretty thick
and glitches.
I have a pretty thick skin for quote unquote bad performance. But what I saw in the preview for this, even in their previews, it had such a low frame rate. No thanks. I get sick when the frame rate's that bad.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it looks awful.
I don't
like I was really on board about maybe getting this for Christmas or something because I had been itching for a Pokemon, and this one looked like it had a lot of cool stuff. But I'm like you, like it almost would make me nauseous or want to throw my Switch at the wall. Like it doesn't. I hate games that aren't at least a little bit fluid or put together. Even though I think a lot of the ideas there are cool. Yeah, hard pass.
It's just the 25 frame level gives me headaches, literally. And that's what it looks like. And and I don't know. I'm just even if the graphics were good, I still don't know if I'd get it because I kind of find Pokemon a little bit. I don't know. It's a little boring for me. I just turn-based. What I'd really like is to have a pixel-based one again, like a very simple pixel-based one. Anyways. But, I mean, that's still going to be a huge game. I mean, it's funny that it has a 2.9 on the Metacritic user review because it means people are upset about the performance. I do wonder if they'll patch it. What do you think?
I doubt it. It probably sold gangbusters, and they won't patch it ever.
It had like the highest pre-orders for any Pokemon game ever in Japan.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh?
Yeah, I thought that was wild. It's disappointing. I mean, Arceus came out earlier this year, and that seemed to be... It almost seems like it was better, performance-wise, or reviewed better.
Arceus got like an 88 on Metacritic.
No, it was 84, 83.
Went down.
Yeah, it was never 88. That's way high. yeah, and I played Arceus, and I didn't really enjoy what I saw with it either. It's pretty brutal. I mean, part of, to me, open world games is that it just has to look good a little bit, you know?
Yeah, like someone suggested, you know, why can't they just get it to look the level of the Xenoblade games? You know, because those games we're not talking PS5 level or even PS4 level, but they look good.
Yeah, I agree. The Xenoblade level games would be awesome. Just like actual blades of grass and not just flat green polygon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of just, to me, Pokemon, I'm just kind of over it in a way, but I find it disappointing a little bit that with the Switch, a big juggernaut like Pokemon in November can like be enough of a big game for them. Where for me, like back when Nintendo had their console and had their handheld, there was always like a big console game every year, and even if they did a Pokemon on the 3DS or DS or Game Boy Advance, there'd always be that big GameCube or Wii game. Do you know what I mean? Whether it was Mario
but it's not
Galaxy or something.
It's not like Bayonetta 3 didn't come out, a month
Well,
ago.
I'm going to say I feel lucky that I love Bayonetta 3 so much and Splatoon 3, because if you're not into those two games, like there really isn't that big November console game. If you look at Pokemon like a handheld game, there just isn't that this year. Like there's not really anything else.
Yeah, there's no Mario,
Switch.
no Zelda.
To be honest, I other than Tears of the Kingdom, I don't really know my next game for Switch that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, mine's Octopath and maybe Fire Emblem, but yeah, I know what you're saying. No kind of huge heavy hitters on the that we know about except for Zelda.
Oh, yeah, I mean Fire Emblem is big for some people, and I guess Octopath in March. But I guess for me it'll be a Splatoon Bayonetta machine for a while.
Yeah, maybe some indies though, like Sports Story comes out in December.
Yeah, and Silksong could drop anytime. Metroid Prime Remake announced at the Game Awards in a few weeks, and then Shadow Drop.
Shadow Drop. Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, there actually is some stuff in the new Splatoon 3 on December 7th, I believe, has a new kind of season update. I guess like they're calling it Season 2.
I think it's December 1st.
Is it December 1st? It has new 2 new levels, has some new weapons. X mode or X League is coming out, where like you can join a league in Anarchy, and then the Big Run mode for Salmon Run is coming out. So pretty.
I don't
big.
quite know what Big Run is, though.
Okay, so I looked this up. Big Run is actually it's basically just Salmon Run, but playing on the maps that you play in multiplayer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty
basically it. And I kind of hope it's a permanent staple, or like every 2 days or every 3 days. Like it's frequent, because that actually sounds like a really fun idea. And there's not a lot of maps in Salmon Run. There's like 4, but they kind of all feel the same. So it would be fun to have like the regular maps with that same design. But like maybe they kind of make the water purple or do something. I mean, they haven't really shown a lot of it, but something new.
Yeah, and then we also have other news, because Mario Kart 8's third DLC pack is coming out December
7th. When is the 1st one? 7th, isn't it?
I'm not
December 7th
I'm not sure
for Mario Kart levels. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited for that. It looks great.
Yeah. Me too. I looked. Yeah, the levels.
So
are
I have a
awesome.
list here in front of me of the levels. It's London Tour Loop, London Loop from Tour, Boo Lake from Game Boy Advance, Rock Mountain from 3DS, Maple Treeway from Wii, which seems like the one people are most excited about. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Then there's the Moon Cup, which has Berlin Byways from Tour, has Peach Gardens from DS, Merry Mountain, which is a brand new Christmas themed one, and then it has 3DS Rainbow Road, which is one that I'm pretty excited about, because that was a tough one. Has no walls.
The Rainbow Road. Yeah. So interesting fact. I was reading about it, and apparently, when it was data mined, it wasn't supposed to be Maple Treeway. It was supposed to be Waluigi Stadium, but they've changed it in the past like couple days. So apparently, they think that Waluigi Stadium wasn't ready.
Oh.
And they just they put a different level in. So I don't know that much about it, but apparently people were saying, Waluigi Stadium was changed out of this pack.
I've seen a lot of different information on the data mines, but I never really get a clear, like, there hasn't been a clear leak. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen major leaks, and I've looked for, like, the full list, but it seems like when things come out, they're always a little different than people expect. Like, no one expected Merry Mountain either. So...
Yeah, I don't know.
What people have noticed, I mean, at least from a quick glance, and what other people online have said, that these actually have better looking graphics. Like, they've done more, they're more detailed than the 2 other booster packs.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think even 2 was near this level, but yeah, I think 1 felt a little rushed. But yeah, this one looks really good.
I have to say I'm a little disappointed that there's no Double Dash or N64 courses coming back. But I'll
you mean this pack?
Yeah, in this pack, yeah. But I'll live.
Yeah.
Which one of these are you most excited about?
Probably Maple Treeway, because I do remember playing that a lot on the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the tour ones are always kind of fun. They take a bit to get used to.
Yeah.
And then I don't honestly remember a lot of I don't remember the 3DS Rainbow Road. I do remember it being hard, like you said, but Maple Treeway is definitely the one I remember the most.
Yeah, I had to actually look up the 3DS, not 3DS Rock Mountain. I remember that one, but the Boo Lake, like I didn't remember that from Game Boy Advance. But
Yeah, I don't, yeah,
so
yeah.
far the Game Boy Advance ones they brought back are the best, or just some of the most fun because it's just like the turning feels so tight, and it's like they're made for power slides. It feels like, I think I'm most excited
Yeah.
for the Merry Mountain just because it's new.
It's a new, yeah.
Get me in the Christmas
But
spirit.
you didn't play Tour that
I
much, did you?
downloaded and played a little bit, and it just wasn't for me. I don't really like cell phone games.
So even these Tour levels, though, feel a little bit new to you.
Totally. Even though you're right that there's a style to the tour ones that makes them all kind of feel the same. Like I can't explain it. Like ubiquitous in a weird way.
Yeah, cause like the mechanic of changing the paths, right?
Yeah, not just that, but like the cities just kind of feel like the buildings look similar, and the maps feel less zany. Like they kind of feel like they're in a I don't know, a certain realm of jumps and turns that all kind of feel the same. Where some of the original levels or something like Maple Treeway feels kind of like insane, right? Like you're flying through trees and going through on the moon in one of these other ones, and then in these city ones you're just kind of like, oh, here's some turns, and there's like a low
True,
polygon render of
don't-
the thing we know.
but don't forget that Ninja Hideaway and Merry Mountain are Tour levels.
Well, Merry Mountain, I believe, will be released on tour, but it is, yeah, you're right. It'll be a tour level, but is Ninja Hideaway also a tour level? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it released either the same day or like a week or two after it came up to market.
Okay, I think Merry Mountain's the same.
So you're right. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how that works.
I love that level though. I love Ninja Hideaway.
Ninja
Yeah.
Hideaway. Yeah, it's great.
Anyways, yeah, this is so. Anyways, I'm looking forward to these DLCs to get me back into Mario Kart and Splatoon a little bit in December. I can't even believe it's December. Right? Holy crap! Can't even believe it. May is only 6 more months.
I know. I kind of nodded.
Yeah,
Kingdom,
seriously.
agreed.
In the Switch 2. Switch 2.0. Anyways, let's talk about our 2 games that we're going to review this week. So, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about God of War first, because that's probably the bigger game.
Okay.
God of War Ragnarok for Nintendo Switch. Amazing port. I'm just kidding. Anyways, Derek, have you beaten it yet? Like, where are you at with this?
I think I'm about an hour or two from the end. I think I'm about to start the final mission.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to go and beat that right after we finish podcasting tonight and just kind of finish it off. And then I have a bunch of side quests and like side areas to do that are apparently really awesome and huge. So I
Okay.
have like a good chunk of gaming left. But as far as the main story, I think I'm nearing the end.
Okay, so how is it so far? Like, how's the
Yeah,
experience?
like you're getting a lot of mixed reception online, depending on people that like the combat or don't, or like the story or don't, or like the linearity or don't. Overall, for me, I really like the game. Like the combat feels awesome to me. It's kind of a mix between almost like an old God of War, where it's not that crazy, and Dark Souls, where Dark Souls or the From Software games, you slow, methodical, have to really think about your dodges, parrying, and whatnot. But it also has this kind of Devil May Cry or God of War-esque feeling where you're swapping weapons and throwing them and jumping and doing this crazy move and then summoning this thing and doing a crazy move, and then but it's kind of a balance between those two things. I really like the combat because just the swapping between the weapons and stacking different skills and skill trees, I like that. And then there's a bunch of different moves you unlock, and so the combat to me is great. The enemy variety is way better than it was before.
Good.
You do still notice times where you'll fight kind of a mini boss in the first third of the game, and then you fight 2 of them in the last third of the game. But there's still like tons and tons and tons and tons of enemies, and I'm sure there's some that I haven't even seen. So yeah, I really like it. The story's pretty good. The first third feels a little bit kind of like what the hell's going on, and it suffers from that kind of effect that I think a lot of some games suffer from, or open world especially, where you have this kind of overarching sense of urgency to do the main mission, but then you also have these side quests, or you do stuff part of the main quest that are a little bit like, why would my character do this when the Ragnarok is coming, the end of the world is coming, or someone needs to be saved or something like that. It's like, oh, like let's go collect 5 apples from this thing. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because why? Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't really feel that.
I mean, that's kind of an age-old problem in video games.
True. It's and it's not the only one for sure. So I do feel that a bit, but the actual story is pretty interesting. And honestly have no idea how it's going to end, and I'm 2 hours away from the end because you kind of have this whole father-son dynamic, and you don't know how that's playing out with the other gods in Norse mythology. I don't want to kind of go too deep into the spoiler kind of stuff, but I really don't know how it's going to end or who's going to kind of walk away alive or on top in this scenario.
It's going to set up for the third one.
There is no third one for Norse mythology.
But I just mean it's going to when he takes on Christianity next.
Oh, like, so yeah. So the other question is kind of like, where does it go after this? So I'm excited to hear, to kind of know. So some people think it might go to Egypt, like the Egyptian gods next.
Very cool.
And
love that.
Some guy was suggesting that even the Celtic gods would be kind of cool. I don't know much about Celtic mythology, but someone suggested that. So yeah, like there's a lot of places it could go. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the story ends. And yeah, again, I think I kind of touched on this, last podcast. The real thing that you really notice is this does just feel like, in a lot of ways, like just the best PS4 game ever. Maybe tied or a little bit under The Last of Us 2. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm playing at 110 frames, which is awesome. And like,
so there are you chose to do the 120 frame mode?
Yeah.
And isn't it 1080? It's only 1080 resolution though, right?
Yeah, but I tried playing under the 30 frames and even the 60 frames, and after going to 120, even going back to 60 felt really, really jarringly.
So you really noticed it? Because I played 120 with Psychonauts 2 and Halo Infinite, and I honestly did not notice. And I played 120 with Halo Master Collection as well, but I didn't find it super noticeable.
Oh, see, for me, like when I play on 120 or whatever it hits 100. To me, it's so noticeable that I feel like the game is on fast forward. Like, I feel like the gameplay is actually going faster than it should be because things are so fluid. It's like tricking my brain. It takes me like 20 minutes to adjust to the fluidity to make it feel like, oh, this is the normal game speed, because it feels so fluid that I feel like I'm going faster than I should be. So, but yeah, when I go back to 60 is fine. 30 is so... You can just notice every frame now. Like even 60 to 30, but going from 110 to 30, like it looks better, don't get me wrong, but it's not like it looks insanely better and in a way that I really care about. For me, like, gameplay is king, and plus high frames is...
once you're in motion, like once the character's moving around and there's motion blur, I really can't notice the difference between 4K and 1440 and you know what I mean, at 1080 very much.
Exactly. I think I'll notice that more when, let's say in 4 or 5 years, we get only 30 frame per second games, on the PS5 that just push the limit of the graphics to an nth level. If I went back to God of War Ragnarok at that point, then I go, wow, damn, like, there's a huge difference between 1080 and the 4K whatever craziness that we'll get at the end of this generation. But right now, it's kind of like, I don't really see it so much. But yeah, overall, I really like it. I give it like a 9 right now.
Okay, so it's not majorly like, it's not like after playing God of War 2018 and coming to this one, your mind is blowing up from how much better it is.
No, because you still get those kind of moments where you're like, okay, I can see what it's walled off or invisible walls or something's a little, narrowed and corridor to kind of like so it could run on a PS4. Like you do feel some of those moments through the PS5. So yeah, do I really like it? Yeah, but again, I'm not mind blown being like, this is an awesome PS5 next gen game, where I actually did kind of feel that a bit with Horizon Forbidden West. Like there are moments in that game where you're just like, especially even on the 60 frame per second mode, just like, damn, the fidelity and the detail is awesome. Where this game, you do get some of those amazing details, but it just felt a little bit more constricting, which is just reminded me of more of a PS4. Yeah, I don't know.
Cool. And I guess another question is, let's say I get a PS5 Slim in a year or two, and I just wanted to play Ragnarok, do I need to play 2018? I mean, I got about 6 hours into it and gave up when I had to like kind of go around collecting something. And I kind of just want to jump to, and I was really annoyed by the lack of enemies. And I'm actually all for like a very linear action romp. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So this game, there's about I would say a 3 to 5 minute intro video that you can watch that fills you in on the entire first game.
Okay.
And then you jump into it, and if you follow the main path, like you don't really have to do all those side quests, the open areas, and you still can really have a good time and enjoy it and have a good difficulty that's fun. You follow the story well. There is a lot of side content you can do, but you don't have to. Like you don't have to collect those apples or whatever. You can just follow the path and kill a bunch of guys and kill the bosses and whatnot.
Okay.
I would recommend anyone that owns a PS5 or probably a PS4 to play it. Like it is, a big Sony first party game, and there are moments where the story's a little slow moving. You're not fighting for a while, and there are sections where I didn't love the combat, but overall, again, this game's a 9 or so. Like this game is really really fun and worth playing. Is it my favorite game on the PS5? If you picked up a PS5 tomorrow and you said name me 3 games to grab, this would probably be number 3, maybe number 4 or around there. It's not number 1 for sure, but I would say definitely grab it.
Is it your game of the year? Did it dethrone Elden Ring?
No, it'll probably be game number 2, depending on some other games I've played. Might be number 3.
Okay.
But no, Elden Ring is still won by a long shot.
A long shot. Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
9. Yeah, so I've been playing the game that you got me for winning at our Metacritic.
I hope I can still play it after you, because I would like to play it.
Yeah. I guess on Xbox I'll have to we'll figure that out where you can log in or whatever. I'm loving it. Yeah, I really like it. The more I play it, the more I love it. I'm addicted. I didn't think I'd like it this much. It feels like the natural evolution of Sonic for the first time since Sonic Adventure. And I go way back, right? Like I played Sonic on Genesis when I was a kid at my friend's house. Like we watched his babysitter beat Sonic 2 because we couldn't beat it. It was too hard. And I go way back. I had the Game Gear, played those ones, and then so I remember playing Dreamcast when Sonic Adventure came out. That was a huge deal. Like that, it was like Mario 64 but with better graphics and more speed and all the insanity. So it actually feels kind of like it's hard to explain. There's moments where I'm playing it where I kind of have that rush of I don't know, a little bit of that Mario 64, Breath of the Wild, Kirby Forgotten Land moment where you're like, wow, I'm playing a 2D series or a series in its next evolution kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. It's not really open world, but it's like the worlds are huge, right? I don't know how much you know about it, but
I know it's kind of sectioned off. Like I know there's big areas, but it's kind of like gated to either do stuff in one area to get unlock the next, right?
Yeah, it's like there's basically 5 giant maps, and you go through them one at a time. And I'm on the 3rd one. I'm halfway through the 3rd one, and they're huge. And yeah, there's different areas of each map, like little things you'll do, like drain water or open a doorway, and then you'll get like another section of that map. So you can spend a good couple hours in each one, but I don't know. It's like they nailed the controls finally, and I don't want to say nailed because they're not all the way there, but it just feels really good. It has that kind of Nintendo-ness where it feels good to just run around in a blank area. Mm-hmm. And the R button is like the speed boost that you can press, and when you press it, you kind of get this boost, like a boost, like I don't know, like a boost, like from any game, like using a mushroom in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And but it has this it feels good, right? It feels like you're just using Mario Kart mushrooms all over the world and going super fast, and then you can jump in the air and boost in the air again, and then you can it uses the homing attack from Sonic Adventure, but it uses it really well, and it's just kind of the right balance of player control and watching awesome flips and rails, and so you're just active enough, right? You're like pressing boost, or you're aiming where he's falling, or you're moving a little bit, or jumping over something. But there's a lot of that like extreme stuff going on in between when you're hitting 5 bouncy things and flying super high in the air, and It's just fun. Like you'll run through this wood section, like break a box, find a bouncy pad, jump on it, and then it'll just like shoot you so high in the air, and then you're like flipping off a rail and jumping from rail to rail to rail in the sky, and like it's so
Cool.
over the top and insane. And the enemies, the combat too is the best Sonic has ever had. Like it's usually before it's just been a homing attack or a basic attack, but in this one, it's got kind of this move set of combos, and it's a little bit janky, but it's also kind of awesome, like a kind of like a Hyrule Warriors. Like you pile on these attacks, and it seems a little like it's a little unpolished. Like there's some moves that are just so OP you can kind of spam them, and moves that are just like this seems kind of like ridiculous that they added this. It's so overpowered, but it's fun still, and it's like quick enough. And it's like it still feels crunchy, and things explode, and it has these giant enemies that you can like run up the side of them, and some of them are feels a little bit of Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, I don't know. It's awesome. I just love it. It's a little bit of a Ubisoft style game where like they just throw you in a giant world, but the thing I like about it too is that when you are dropped into one of these big new maps, you do kind of have to complete it before going to the next map. Like there is no like quickly getting through it. You kind of got to almost like one of the maps like 100%ed, another one I have 94%. But you don't really know what you're doing at first. Like you have no map, you don't even know what you're collecting. Each map seems to have its own kind of gameplay style. Where one of them seems really focused on the one I'm on now seems like to have a lot of 2D sections. So they do introduce a lot of new gameplay elements, and now there's like skydiving, and I'm like so much faster. I don't know. It's a great game to kind of like just mindlessly turn on, and you feel like you can't turn it off because it's like you just get one more thing and one more thing and one more thing, and
How's the music?
it's good. I really like it. I mean, I'm not gonna go as far as so far nothing's jumped out at me to the point of saying like this music is amazing. Like it's not like Mario Galaxy or something like that. But it's great. It's really good. Well done. Yeah.
And how are the boss fights?
They're okay. They're fun. They're quick enough, especially if you know how to use the OP attacks and stuff. There's a couple. There's like it's weird. There's mini bosses. So each island seems to have like two or three of a unique kind of mini boss that's like giant. So they each have their own style, and some of them can be a bit annoying. Where you have like there's a shark one in the desert where you have to like grab onto its tail and do this kind of quick time event thing every time you want to attack it, and it forces you into doing it 3 times, even though like but like the thing is like they respawn, so you get to a point where once you've got a few of them and you've gotten the gears that you're supposed to get from killing them, like you don't get the gears anymore. You'll just get a bunch of redundant power, like redundant rings or something, so you just end up running away every time. But it is cool because you get dropped into a new area, and then you're like, okay, I got to find the mini bosses here and take him out, and they're brand new, and then the final boss will be a whole brand new boss too.
That's cool.
So it's kind of like it's always new. They're easy enough that it's mindless and fun, and they're epic scale. Like some of them are these ones that like fly around, but behind them they leave a track, so you have to like run behind them and like dodge the fireballs and get to the end of the track where their head is, and then you do this kind of quick time event, and then it's fun. It's really cool.
That's cool. And when you run around, are you running around and the majority of what you're doing is just running in free form and platforming, or do you like run into groups of enemies and have to fight them? Like how many? What's the enemy kind of density? Do you know what I mean? Like I just don't know if it's like you're running like, oh, there's enemies like Elden Ring would be where there's just kind of enemies in the area, or is it more like there's just this huge kind of world to explore, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus, where there might be select moments of enemies?
There are enemies. So like I said, each map, which is pretty big, and also feels you can run so quickly too. That makes it, which is one of the most fun parts about it. But I don't know, it's a pretty good ratio. Like there's the mini enemies that aren't as exciting, and there's like little enemies that have like lasers. Like there's not a huge variety. But I'd say they found the right balance, and I'd say platforming to combat is probably 10 to 15% combat, and the rest of it's platforming and exploration and puzzles. So the combat's very light, and even some of the enemies where you're fighting them, it feels like there's a puzzle involved in the combat, like very Mario Galaxy-esque, where like the enemy's huge but you have to like platform up its legs. Yeah, it's I think one of the most unique things about it is I don't, to my recollection, there's no open world game that gives you this much speed. So there's something even especially because there's a lot of popping, and it's probably due to that, because you're running so ridiculously fast. And there's times where like you'll hit a speed pack or speed boost, and it'll like automatically speed you boost to another thing into a rail. It flies you way up in the sky, and then shoots you like way halfway across the map. And it's hilarious and fun, but like it's funny because you'll get to like a new peak and be like, oh, I finally got to this peak, and you'll be like, oh, I'll like bounce on this thing and see where this one takes me first. And you bounce on it, and then it just like fires you on the other half of the map. And you're like, well, now I need to get back there, and I didn't hit the switch that like lets me get up there easy. So it's fun though. I mean, and there's like multiple ways to get everywhere.
Cool.
But yeah, I just can't. Every other open world game I can think of, from Breath of the Wild to Skyrim, you're moving pretty slowly. Even in GTA, like you can get on a plane, but it's all kind of molasses feeling. And this is the first game I really feel like the open world is becoming a playground. In a lot of ways, it feels like a Just Cause or Breath of the Wild that way, where you're not just in an open world to get from A to B. You're really just like playing and running around and going huge jumps. It's just so fun in every second.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's seriously fun. I actually love it. I really love it. It's great.
I'm glad I got it for you.
Yeah, and even the 2D sections are really fun. Like you go into these like, I don't know, sub zones.
Yeah, cyberspace.
Yeah, cyberspace, but it really just feels like it's loading old content from old Sonic games. Like it doesn't feel. Apparently, someone online found it, and it's exactly the same as something from Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations, and it feels that way. But I don't know. It still looks great. 60 frames, high resolution, and I'm S ranking all of them. So I'm not just messing around. I'm going in like I'm getting the speed S rank and everything, and some of them are intense, and like I love it. I'm getting really good at like mastering the levels and memorizing them, and
nice. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely going to be on my top 10 game of the year lists. And it's hard to explain. Like it's part of me wants to be like, yeah, it's a solid 7. But it's so fun. It's hard. It's kind of like, I don't know, you probably had these games before where you and your friends just get really into it, or you can't stop playing to the end, but it's still not like perfectly polished. It
reminds me of how I felt about Outriders. Like that game. Like there's so many issues with it. It does feel kind of small in scope, but like it just is damn fun to play. And I think that's how you're feeling with Sonic. Yeah,
totally. And the thing that's funny about it is because the bar is so low for Sonic. Like I'm going to tell you, it's janky and unpolished and everything, but it's by far the most polished and least janky 3D Sonic game of ever. So take that as you will.
Do you think it'll beat Elden Ring for you on Game of the Year?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think anything's going to beat Elden Ring for me.
Oh, not even Bayonetta 3?
No. I mean, maybe this is a spoiler because our Game of the Year, we usually wait till January because, we try to get as many 2022 games as possible. But Elden Ring, it's so meticulously made and so epic, and every town, there's so many towns and castles, and here's the thing, like where to go back and finish Elden Ring because I'm so close, I actually feel dread for that, and I don't actually like have fun when I'm playing. There's times where I'm playing, I'm just not having any fun, and I'm stressing, and I'm scared, and I feel oppressed, but that's part of the rush that I like from it. So sometimes I'll like to sit down and play Sonic, like if I'm just having a mindless evening and I want to have and not really think about it, I can like play Sonic, laugh, get some thrills. But if there's something with games like even the old Resident Evils that were really hard, like Resident Evil 1 and 2, or like some of those games that are just really hard. I guess any Souls game is probably like this, where it's more of an achievement and less about the moment-to-moment fun.
Did you ever play Resident Evil 2 remake?
Of course. I beat it both ways.
And Resident Evil 3 remake?
Yeah, but I only beat that one once.
Okay, I just didn't know. I couldn't remember if you had played those.
The only Resident Evil I haven't played is number 6.
Oh, I own that game. If you ever want
I know. I played it a few times and I just don't like it. But I've definitely played even Revelations number 2. I didn't beat it, but I played Revelations 1 and most of 2.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you're saying about there's games like Resident Evil or Elden Ring where it's like you feel it's a tenser game, right?
Yeah,
You're
it's
really
like
thinking
scary,
about it and you're
scariness. Yeah.
focused. And then there are games like, you mentioned Kirby earlier in this year too, like Kirby or Sonic, where it's just kind of like you're just chilling, having a Friday night or whatever night, just relaxing. And yeah, I think there's a place for both. I like playing both. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like there's something when I beat Elden Ring or when I beat many of the bosses, I even think back on like it's such an achievement. You know what I mean? And like the feeling of being so weak and it's feeling the world is so scary and oppressive to like being somewhat getting stronger and like being able to take out those crab guys easy. Like that's a great feeling. That
Yeah.
I don't know if like the Wahoo from a Mario Kart is quite the same achievement. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Some games are more just like the wahoo of the moment. But yeah, I'm really having a hard time deciding what my number 2, 3, 4 is though, because it's basically a toss up between Bayonetta 3, Splatoon 3, and Kirby. I really can't decide between those. I honestly think I'm gonna have to have an asterisk that's like these are all the same ranking.
So Sonic's not up there.
I don't think so. I think it's maybe just below. But it's hard to say. Like I don't know. I'm gonna end up putting more hours into Sonic and having more fun with it than probably Kirby. But
Yeah.
there's something about Kirby that just like it's so polished in the world of it and its translation to 3D. Like it's like there's also that the first time Kirby went to 3D they nailed it, where Sonic's taken 20 times.
Yeah.
So, you know. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But that's what's going to lead to my next question is, usually we decide in January at some point our game of the year. Is there anything that you're planning to get the next 2 months or even in January that you're planning to play that you think will add to your game of the year list, like get on the top 10?
Yeah. So I'm just looking at my list here. Give me 1 second. So yeah, I'm playing God of War right now, and I still have to finish Splatoon 3. And there's a bunch of Xbox games that just came out in Game Pass that I want to at least try and see if I like them. So there's Somerville, there's Moonsong, there's Pentiment. I got to finish Plague Tale, and I've been playing Vampire Survivors whenever I just have like 20 minutes to honestly, Vampire Survivors is really fun when let's say God of War or Call of Duty is patching. Then I'll just put on Vampire Survivors and just do a run because it's kind of one of those mindless fun games. And I told you that I got a Star Ocean Divine Force a couple days ago, so I haven't touched it yet. We'll see how that game goes. And I also just ordered 13 Sentinels for the Switch.
Oh, I'm
gonna see that game, and then for Christmas,
you got physical. Then you went physical.
I did what go physical, yeah.
Nice.
And then for the Christmas, I'm hoping to get or ask for, I guess, Bayonetta 3, and then maybe one other game between Live a Live, Callisto Protocol, or Tactics Ogre.
Okay.
So Bayonetta 3 is the game I 100% plan to play before making my game of the year list. And then we'll see what I have time for the rest. Well, how about you? Any other games?
For me, I'm really looking at trying the game Grounded. I heard it's great. Have you heard of this game, Grounded?
Yeah, it's where you're a little person, right?
It's like Honey, I Shrunk
not
the
a little
Kids.
Shrunken Kids.
But it looks really cool. I mean, I'm kind of in this mode where like I don't play too many games at once. Like I kind of try to finish up one before the next one, so I don't want to jump into too many. But it's on my list, Grounded, and also Somerville, which even though I know it's got some mixed reception, I'm still really excited, and everything I've read about it still sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm really interested to at least give it a go. Even Pentiment, I don't think is up my alley at all. But I'm willing to give it a try just because I got good reviews and it's kind of an interesting game to at least discuss.
Yeah, I can't think of too much else though I'm gonna jump into unless the Game Awards has a Metroid surprise.
There are some other games coming out still this year, like Callisto Protocol or even the Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core game.
Oh yeah, people are really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I just don't think I'll pick up either of those games in time to be able to play them. Unless Callisto Protocol gets like a 92 and it's like this is the best survival horror game in years, then I think it can wait.
It's hard for me with Callisto Protocol because it's like okay, and you have in January Dead Space coming out, and like Dead Space
and then March Resident Evil 4.
Totally, but even just thinking about space survival horror in the Dead Space theme, in that small niche,
Yeah.
like if Callisto Protocol almost needs to convince me that I don't need to play Dead Space remake because if it's just like, oh, it's really good, it's 81, it's got some problems, but it's good, I'm gonna be like, well, I could just wait until the Dead Space remake, get my nostalgia rush with it, and also know it'll be good. Like, I have a
Or pick
feeling
whichever one reviews better almost.
well, I have a feeling that the Dead Space remake is going to be excellent because it's been in development for a long time. It's a remake of a great game. It looks excellent. It's like it's got everything going for it.
They know what has worked because they've already put it in that game before, right? Where Callisto Protocol, they're trying to change things up, and who knows if they're going to hit or miss.
You're
But
right.
again, I'm the same as you. 81, 82. I'm going to wait for that game to be in probably a deep sale just because of the lineup next year. But if that game does hit a 91, 92, it's like, damn, like maybe that game is really something special.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the gameplay I've seen for Callisto Protocol 2, like the actual combat, it doesn't look as good as Dead Space. Like it seems like a lot of this kind of warping and shooting guys back, and I don't know, some of the actual gunplay, it seems a little rough from what I've seen.
I agree. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so we'll see. That'll be really soon. Even Evil West, I hope that gets announced as like a December Game Pass. That'd be great.
So fast.
I don't want to.
Like, yeah, I'm hoping that game because people are actually saying it's really good.
I honestly think the $50, $60 price tag is what's hurting a lot of the review scores, right? If it's a $15, $20 game, completely different mindset.
I mean, not even if it was a $35 game for 35 Canadian or 40 Canadian, it'd be a lot more digestible of a 8-hour linear like craziness game as opposed to, oh my god, I'm paying $80 or whatever plus tax.
No kidding. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It does look fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Overall, I think it's been a really good year. I really don't think there's going to be anything new announced or surprises. Like I think Sonic is probably the last surprise of games for me this year.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. I mean, I really don't. There's a chance that Metroid still comes in December, but
There's no way.
well, here's the thing. Like, there's that guy Jeff Grubb, right? Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah.
He's like a journalist, but he also leaks a bunch of stuff, and he's been almost always right. And he's so sure of himself about the Metroid Prime remake, and he's still hearing that it's on course for this year. And Nintendo has announced, like they announced the Mario 3D All Stars collection, and it came out 3 weeks later, or 2 week, not even 2 weeks later. So it's not completely unheard of.
True. Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess
Are you-
the next
are
time.
Are you gonna watch the Game Awards?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if I'm around, I'll put it on the background. It's December 3rd, I think, right?
Oh, I thought it was December like 8th or something.
Whenever
14th,
it is.
December 14th, I think.
Oh wow, it's late.
Wait,
I'm definitely
I'll
gonna
double
watch
check.
it. They usually have at least one significant Switch announcement. Like Bayonetta 3 was announced at it, and they showed Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I think we'll get some good trailers.
I mean, they showed the Xbox Series X there. That's where they revealed it. I think there's gonna be some good trailers. Yeah, hopefully some Starfield. Maybe they'll get I bet we'll get the announcement for the release date of Redfall.
Oh yeah, that game looks pretty cool. December 8th, by the way.
December 8th. Yeah, I think maybe Redfall and then Starfield gets an announcement for like September, and then quietly delayed over the summer.
I'm just looking for now that this game's out, God of War Ragnarok. I mean, we don't really know any Sony first party lineup, and besides for Zelda, we don't really know. I guess Fire Emblem, we don't really know what's on for their 2023 slate. So I'm kind of curious if we're going to see any Nintendo or Sony first party games because we're going to see maybe Silent Hill, we're going to see Resident Evil, we're going to see Final Fantasy 16 probably. We'll probably see Starfield.
16, yeah, I think Final Fantasy 16 will make it next year.
I think it's a lock to come out in like there are already rumors about the date and it being like the release date trailer.
Yeah,
apparently is going to be at the Game Awards and it's for summer 2016 or 2023.
And what about Forsaken? Isn't that early in the year?
Forspoken is January 23rd.
Oh wow, that early. That's
Yeah,
super early.
so January it goes Fire Emblem Engage, like 3 days later Forspoken, and then like 3 days later Dead Space.
Wow,
Yeah,
gamers be eaten.
yeah, it's gonna be a great 2023.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. I wonder if Pikmin 3 will actually come out in 2023.
Pikmin 4?
Sorry, Pikmin 4. Yeah, I actually somehow doubt it.
Me too. I mean, we'll see, but we haven't seen anything, so who knows? But again, Nintendo's like that, right? They're kind of like, we might not even hear about it again until June, and they'll say, hey, it's coming in November,
July,
or October. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited for next year. I guess next time we chat will be after the Game Awards. It'll be just before, I think, or around then.
So 2 weeks from now is the 6th, and the Game Awards are the 8th. So we can do it right before, or we can wait till after. We'll discuss that.
Yeah,
later.
maybe we'll do it right after and talk about Metroid Prime Remake and how it looks.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think we're out of time for this week.
Yeah, and I think we both know what we've been playing, but we can talk about it if you have other games.
I've only been playing Sonic.
Yeah, I've been only playing God of War,
The end. Cool. Okay. Well, I guess thanks for listening to our listeners. Please leave us a comment. Don't stick with us.
Yeah,
please.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, leave us a question. We will get to it in our next week for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, Derek. Well, thanks for coming out to Nintendo Bros Podcast.
Thanks for having me do my own podcast.
Thanks for being a Nintendo Bro. Cool.
All right, this is Derek. See you later.
All right, this is Peter signing out.